identity, and what it means to care for yourself when life feels uncertain. Your cortisol is high, and you're not just the helper anymore, but you're the one who needs help. Today, a new friend of mine is here that I am thrilled to introduce to you because you will love her just as I do. Kari Davis is host of the Well podcast. She is founder of thewellteam.com and a certified holistic health coach and an essential oil educator. Kari is passionate about empowering women with the tools they need to reclaim their life through self-care and faith, while embracing the idea of a natural and non-toxic lifestyle in their products and mindset. Kari and her husband Bobby live in Naples, Florida with their combined 5 children. This is part 1 of our conversation, and trust me, you will want to come back for part 2 and hear the rest of her story. Mama, it's time to get filled up. Let's go. Hey Mama, are you overwhelmed by your full, blessed life? Do you feel stuck in the messy, mundane middle? Then I'm so glad you're here to take a breath. Hey, I'm Shan Wright, RN, holistic wellness coach, and a mom to 4 that went from perfectionism, control, and lots of anxiety to intentionally living through simple solutions and so much peace. If you are done with the stressed out life, hot mess express type of motherhood, then heat up that coffee again and let's live holistically well in the middle. Let's go. Okay, I'm super excited to introduce you all to another guest and a new friend. We have a lot in common, and I'm so excited that I've recently got connected with her. So, Kari, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. We
Yeah,
we have a heart for a certain kind of mama, so I'm excited to talk today.
we do. I have to tell the listeners that when I was starting my podcast, October 2023, you stress about the name. You really do go round and around about what am I going to call it? And there's other like SEO things that you have to pay attention to. And you might have an idea, but it's not SEO friendly. And then you can't name it the same as someone else. So anyway, I was going round and around and I found Kari's podcast and I absolutely loved the name. I loved the description. I was like, okay, this is exactly what my podcast is going to be about. I can't steal her stuff, but it was, yes, we have like the same heartbeat for this mom.
hmm
And her podcast is called The Well, and share what it's based off of, the name of that.
Well, so it's based on the story. I teach a lot of wellness stuff too, and about essential oils and non-toxic living. But the well is not wellness. It's actually the woman at the well in the Bible.
Yeah.
And what I say in the intro to the podcast is just that the woman at the well went to the well for water, just for foundational health, right? But because Jesus was there, she got living water and it changed everything. I didn't start the podcast to be super faith-based at the beginning. I think I was scared. I don't know why, because I even said that in it, but I was afraid to come out more and more. And actually, kind of a little announcement, I'm going to lean even more into it in this next year. I'm going to really talk a lot about like law and gospel and really seeing the world through a certain lens because I
Mm,
just think it's needed right now.
mhm.
Here I was worried to go super faith-based because I didn't want to like box out people who weren't Christians. And now I'm like, you know what? I want to go all in. So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. And yes, that is such you put that story so beautifully in that short little description. And it's one of my favorite Bible stories.
mhm.
And yeah, I was like, wow, that is so true. She goes for foundational wellness and she gets filled up. So I love that. And I love that you're taking that spin and diving deeper spiritually on your podcast. That when I first started, it was we're talking holistic wellness. We're talking every single area. I'm going to have a section of like, I'm going to have a series on financial wellness and on occupational wellness and on all the areas. Right. And it was, I think just like a month or 2 in, God was like, nope, emotional and spiritual wellness. That's your lane. And I'm like,
hmm
oh, okay. Uh,
Yeah.
but it was so
Yeah.
good. I
Well,
love
and we
it.
love all the things and we know how many things are making a difference for us and we just want that transformation so much for people who listen. So, He
Yeah.
uses it all. It's good.
And that's the thing. We're all about holistic wellness. So we're just talking about how these connect and just stay in this lane, but you're talking about the whole person, which is what, the main message. And I'm just curious. You said like law and the Bible, like
Gospel.
the gospel. I'm curious what you mean by that.
I mean, law and gospel is more just like what God requires of us and then the perfection that he gives us in him. And
Mm,
so I think where that kind of the rubber hits the road is that I feel like I give too much holistic law sometimes. I don't want people to feel should on,
yeah.
not not the naughty word, but should, should. I don't want them to feel like you have to do this and you have to do this and you have to do
Yeah.
this to be this person. Or like if you're not, doing all the things. And that's the same with our faith. A lot of times we hear a message of the Christian should do this, a good mother does this, and you start like climbing this ladder to God rather than realizing that you don't have to climb the ladder. He came down the ladder to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the law is really heavy and the gospel is really light. And that's what balances the scale of our faith. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's that he requires everything of us. And so teaching that lens, that's how you see the world then. So then
Yeah.
you're just like the law is your body needs this and your kids need this and
Yeah.
there's so many things that we should do as moms, but I want to make sure that that burden does not get too heavy and that the actual gospel is just more like, you know what, but if you got Chick-fil-A tonight and your kids have been on 6 rounds of antibiotics from ear infections, I don't want you to not feel like a good mom. I want you to know that the burden is still so light because of your faith. And like I just want to keep the main thing a little bit more because I
Yeah.
feel like when I think of an episode or something that's making me feel really alive in my health, I want to be like, here's 6 steps to do this, and here's 7 steps to do this, and follow these things. And I do think that action is really important and having a growth mindset, but I also just want to focus more and make that a common theme throughout my podcast is that law gospel lens.
That's a bell, another bell, but not because someone else needs you, because you need you. If you're a nurse, caregiver, healthcare professional, always helping others and not ever helping yourself, now is the time to take a look at your own stress level. What is stress doing to your body internally, externally? How is it coming out? Where is your stress? And are you headed to burnout? Are you already in burnout? Don't ignore the signs and symptoms that are coming up all the time because you're caring for others and not yourself. Our stress builds, and then one day we realize we're in burnout. And that is why I'm offering you a free stress assessment call. This is a short, personalized session, one-on-one, where we're going to uncover your current stress level, what's actually causing it, and your next best step to get relief. You don't have to figure this out alone. You don't have to wonder, am I in burnout? You don't have to wonder if I'm headed there fast. Go right now to bit.ly/stress assessment call. Let's catch the stress before it leads to burnout. Go now and book your call today.
I have a picture of eyeglasses on my board that sits right in front of my desk that has like glasses, and it's just that law gospel lens. And if we see that, like, we're required to be perfect, we're never going to be perfect. He was perfect for us. I think it'll help in our relationships and even in our wellness.
I absolutely love that. Something that was coming in my mind when you were saying that all was difference between living with a kingdom mindset versus an empire mindset, or kingdom identity versus empire identity. The empire is the law, and it's also the world. It's like the world says you should do this X, Y, and Z, and if you don't, then you're not a very good mom. You're not a natural mom. You're not giving your kid good foods. All these things. And it's like, no, like you're saying, there's no shoulds in the kingdom. It all should flow out of freedom, the freedom that God gave us, right? Oh, it's so good, Kari. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get into this. I totally went off on a big tangent, but I would love the listeners. They already got to know you a little bit with all that, but share a little about your family. And also, I love to ask the question because we're all about managing our stress here. Two things that are making your life less stressful in this current season.
Okay, awesome. So a little bit about us. I always feel like I need to tell my age now that it gives me some kind of like credibility. But I'm 47 years old, and I didn't feel this way until just the last year or so, where I'm embracing that I'm almost 50 years old. I have kids in college. I mean, it's such a different like mindset than when I had little babies, because I still think of myself as a stay-at-home mom, like young mom, but they're older. So I have a 21-year-old, a 19-year-old, and then a 14-year-old.
Wow.
He's a freshman in high school. And then their dad, this is a hard part, their dad passed away in 2015 when they were 11, 9, and 4. And so a lot of my coaching and a lot of my just heart for serving women that get derailed by life stems from that. But I'm very happily married to like my soulmate. My husband, Bobby, is amazing. And then he has a 14-year-old as well and a 9-year-old. So we have 5 kids between the two of us. So I'm a hockey mom, and I work part time for my husband. He has a wealth management practice here in Naples, Florida. We love boating and going to the beach and doing all of the things. And so the things that are keeping me least stressed, I would say right now, is I have let go of the guilt on myself for sleeping. I don't have little kids anymore. Cole, my youngest, gets a ride from friends, and so I've been sleeping in till 7:30, and I think it's really good for my hormones and my health. And that used to make me feel like guilty, like I was like
Yeah.
I need to be up and hopping, and it's actually not. And so even saying that it's helping with my stress, I think that it is. And just I'm having like slow mornings. Like I don't have to jump up and get, lunches packed and all of those things, which is probably why I preface it with my age, because I'm in that next season. And so, and I'm still walking. Walking is always my stress relief. I have added a weighted vest that's 20 pounds. That's kind of feels significant, but I love getting out and walking. So I would say those are the two things: sleeping without guilt, slow mornings, and walks.
Love it. So I helped in buying a friend a weighted vest for her birthday. And before it was like a request, something she wanted, I didn't know about this new trend. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I'm into that. I should get one. Maybe
How
my
many
birthday's
pounds did you
coming.
get?
Hmm. I think it was 20 pounds too.
Okay. So it's like I had to buy like Hoka shoes with like a deeper like sole than my on clouds. I mean, it adds a lot of weight to your feet, and you have to really keep your posture back. And but
Yeah,
I just like that I'm getting that bone density, and I've been like lifting weights, and I don't know, it
awesome.
makes me feel strong.
Yeah, and then I wanted to ask, well, sleep is huge. So I love that you are waking up later, but what time are you going to bed?
Oh, like 10:30, 11.
Okay, so you're getting like 8.5 hours of sleep or nine.
Yeah, 9. Yeah, 8.5, 9. Yeah.
That's good. My body loves 9 hours of sleep. Like when we go on vacation and you get to sleep in, it's like nine is like when I tend to wake up naturally.
Yeah.
Um, so I can imagine if I were to get 9 hours of sleep, how it would affect everything else. But I love that because sleep is so important. I have a lot of moms that are maybe on the younger side of having kids. It gets taken from us, and then
Mhm.
we don't know how to incorporate it back into our life as a priority. It seems like one of those health habits that we're not allowed to have, but being a mom with young kids, and we can't
Mhm.
even try at doing it until they're older. But it's like I I mean, I get 7.5 hours of sleep every night, 8 on if I get to bed early, if the kids go to bed early. So it's possible you can do it, but I feel like after we get out of that extreme postpartum, then we're like, okay, now I'm never getting sleep anymore. And it's like, well, you can still work at making a priority. It just is you have to be very, very intentional.
Well, you do. And I remember those times of, just wanting to stay up to watch a show with my husband or to like
Hmm.
I wanted to stay up later, which is probably why I wasn't getting it. But my kids were always sleepers too, like on the weekends. Like I didn't have like 6 a.m. risers. My oldest hadn't even seen 8 a.m. until he started kindergarten. So we're just kind of sleepers in my family.
I know. I'm actually so not happy about that. The elementary around us start school very early. And my youngest
Oh,
just turned 5, so he's starting kindergarten in the fall and he sleeps in. He also goes to bed late because he goes to bed with all the older kids. And so he needs that
yeah.
sleep. And we have to wake the kids up at 6:30 to get
Mm,
on the
yeah.
bus. And I'm like, he's never waken up at 6:30, even when he was a baby.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, he's 8 o'clock typically. So I'm like, this is it's going to take some training for all of us.
Yeah. I remember getting them ready, like still like sleeping in their beds, putting their clothes on them.
Well, what we did with my last, he's in first grade now, but that kindergartner, um, well, I think it also had to do with the fact that he's a boy. My girls would never have fallen for this, but it was actually his idea, and I loved it, was he wore his clothes to bed that he would wear to school. And he's like, 6:30 is really early. Well, he actually is an early riser, but he's like, I'm just gonna wear my clothes to
Efficiency.
bed. I'm like, that's really helpful, very helpful. So we're gonna do that with Mac as well. Okay. I love those things, and I love that encouragement for the moms. Sleep is helping Kari have less stress and slow
Yes.
mornings and a way to best and walking. So go get
Hmm.
yourself some sleep. And okay, so I would love to know your testimony. We love testimonies around here because it tells us in Revelation we overcome the enemy by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
That's
So I
right.
think we cannot share our testimony enough. We also, I think each time, each different audience, we kind of say it in a different way. And I think whatever comes out right now as you share your testimony is what these women and these moms need to hear. So I'm so excited for you to just share what God has done in your life and take us as far back as you want to go and lead us to where you are today in what you're doing today.
Okay, perfect. So I don't remember ever having a time where I didn't know God. I was raised in a Christian home and I always wanted that like major conversion story, when I would go
Same.
to Bible camp. Yeah, I was like, oh, that would be so cool. But looking back, I'm so, so grateful that I never remember a time where I was not really grounded in God's word and his love for me in that law gospel lens. My parents just taught me that, and everything was about admitting our sin and the release that that has on our hearts and just that grace that comes after it and
Mhm.
forgiveness. I've always been really spiritually sensitive, though, I would say, like, just had a major empathic heart. I mean, even like movies, like I was very affected by anything scary or anything spiritual. My parents had to like pray over me as a kid. Like I was very sensitive to let too much in my spirit. Very like emotional when people would find God or like reading the scripture or I've always been a singer, so like singing songs, like I
Yeah.
cry. I'm the worst worship leader ever because I'm always getting choked up in the middle.
Yeah.
I
I
sound like
could
my voice is
never.
cracking.
Yeah, I could never be a worship leader. Because then, yeah, you're like start to cry and then no words come out. Like, well, that defeats the
Yeah.
purpose of holding this microphone.
Yeah, exactly. So fast forward to I always wanted to be a mom. Always, my first husband and I were high school sweethearts. We fought like cats and dogs. We were very, just because we started dating in high school, we never learned such great communication, I would say. Um, but we both just really had a heart for our family and for serving the local church and leading worship. I miss him dearly. He was just like, talk about putting pressure on himself. He always wanted to do the next thing, to start the next project. Come to find out, he had that emergency, I think, because God had put it on his heart that he was not going to live a long life.
Yeah.
And he just always wanted to do that next thing. And he would buy the kids toys that wasn't age appropriate. And I'd be like, why are you buying a 3-year-old a real toolkit, like with a real, drill? And he was always in a hurry. So when he had a massive brain hemorrhage, I came home one day from dropping the kids off at a birthday party, and he was laying on the floor, and I had to do the chest compressions and the whole thing. It was like my life flashed before my eyes.
Okay, that's where we need to stop for today, but make sure to tune in to part 2 of Kari's amazing testimony and story and how she overcome this trauma in her life and this grief as a mom and came on the other side to live holistically well. So you can do that too. Come back next Tuesday for the rest of the story. Hey, Wellness Warrior. I pray that blessed you. And if so, it would bless me big if you would write a 5-star review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Not only would this make me super happy, but it will allow for others to find this show too. Also, I love to chat over on Instagram, so make sure to take a screenshot, share to your Instagram stories, and tag me at @TheShanWright so I can see it and we can keep chatting and bring other moms to chat with us. Until we get to chat again, mama friend, may the Lord's face shine upon you and give you peace.